Good 4th of July. This is Teal Time with Jags. Alongside of me, well, not alongside of me, but with me is...
Bo knows. I love you 32 on Twitter.
All right, and tonight, is a magical night because it's the day before the 4th of July, which we actually should have done this at like 11:30, and then we would be on the 4th of July. But we have some Jag news. There's not much going on. There's a little bit going on. And why don't you start us off today, Bo?
Oh, well, what I want to start off with is I want to send a message to Walter Football. That's at Walter Football on Twitter. He got on David Caldwell last year and said that Dion Jordan should have been selected over Jokel. Right now, he is looking like a fool, and my man Dave Caldwell is looking like the genius he is, taking Jokel, and why Dion Jordan can't get on the field, and now pissed hot for PEDs. What do you think about that?
That's absolutely crazy. And what's funny is I was one of them pro Dion Jordans, believe it or not, because I knew that we needed a Leo. But I really, to be honest, and people will know because they remember, the Teal Time, last year before I hit this platform and whatnot, and they'll say that, hey, he was a Geno Smith fan, which I was. So,
really, you wanted Geno Smith too?
Sure, I did. And I still don't think he's that bad. I think he's just in a shitty organization, personally. Were you against Geno?
Geno Smith or Dion Jordan.
So you were saying
Dion Jordan because he didn't play a lot. He didn't play every snap at Oregon. He was like a situational guy.
Okay, so you're saying that there's a reason why people wanted Dion Jordan though, because he just fit
athletic ability.
Well, yeah, and he fit the typical Leo, does he not?
Yeah, but would you take a number 3 or what? Oh, that year was number 2 overall pick for a guy that in college wasn't as great as a number 2 pick should be. Franchise changer. I don't think he's a franchise changer.
Well, Luke last year really wasn't looking like. Prior to him getting injured, he was, but then he got injured.
Yeah, but I'd rather have a guy getting injured than a guy not getting on the field at Miami because he wasn't good enough.
So you're saying if they were to, offer prior to this issue right now, if they were to offer a third rounder, for Dion Jordan, you would have said no.
With this right now, knowing what we know now at the PEDs.
Well, yeah, I understand what we know now, but what I'm saying prior to this.
What we know right now, I'd give them a 4th round pick now instead of a 3rd.
I still would.
One more suspension is going to be 8 games. So you're taking a big risk.
And I'm not saying that we're not. I'm just saying that when you need that young guy, that would help. If we grabbed, Collie and whatnot, Mr. Mack, that. We would have had, our Leo. But then we wouldn't have had a quarterback.
Yeah, we wouldn't have. We could have traded back into the first round and got Bridgewater.
So what do you – and that's true. What do you think about, Blake signed his contract and then had a really crummy day?
I'm not putting too much stock into it. It was just a mini camp. He's still learning the offense. I'm not worried about that. Chad Henne's going to be the guy anyways. I think it's just a learning experience for him.
I still don't see Chad Henne being that guy. The beginning of the year, yeah, could he start? Yes. But once
we have our bet going, so just get ready.
Chad Henne is not playing all year. I'm sorry, it's not happening.
Well, we already bet on that, so.
Well, then that was an easy bet because he's not playing all year. I mean, he could play 15 games and then, Bortles comes and, played one quarter and you still lose that bet.
No, you got to start.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, but
injury. It's got to be he lost his job.
So it can't be that it's game 16 and it don't matter anyway.
Well, if it's that, if we suck and he plays, then you win but injury, I think should rule it out.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. I totally understand what you're saying.
But if we start off 0-8 or 0-6 and they throw in Bortles, then yeah, you win because he's starting. So we weren't winning.
So would have you had a problem had we drafted Jordan last year?
I don't know. I really don't know. I don't know if he would have seen the field.
Here's the deal, though. Miami has had its share of, I don't know if it's coaching out there or what it is, but the players, when they end up going to Miami, start getting in trouble. Because when they go somewhere else, they don't. And that's the weird part.
Yeah, well, I was reading that he bulked up a whole lot. Because I guess they said he was undersized last year, so he bulked up a whole lot. And now we know how he bulked up. By taking some TDs.
Oh, okay, but did you see Marshall, since he's no longer a Dolphin, getting in trouble? He don't get in trouble no more.
Yeah, that's true. But Marshall also was the head case in Denver before that.
Yeah,
he's gone through a lot of psychiatrists and depression. He has all kinds of issues. That guy.
Yeah, but you don't see it no more. I mean, who's to say that if, Deion Jordan were to be drafted by Jacksonville, he wouldn't be an entirely different player?
We could say that about a lot of guys.
Well, yeah, of course we could. But I'm just saying that I would love, Deion Jordan as the Leo. I still would.
Have Deion Jordan than Luke Jokel.
Well, I mean, but did we really? The whole.
Let me ask you a question. What position is harder to find? That left tackle that you can have there for 8 to 10 to 12 years, like a Boselli, or that Leo position?
But you already had one in Monroe.
Yeah, but Monroe was not. I didn't like Monroe.
And I didn't agree when he was drafted, but regardless, I mean, you already had a guy there. It wasn't like you didn't have a guy there.
Yeah, but he was the best available on their board, and as we see right now, their board was correct that Jordan wasn't as high on their board, and it's showing now that he's not playing. He's pitching hot for PEDs.
And I do understand that. The thing about it is, though, he was a little bit overrated in the sense of a lot of people, bank, a great, team on the player, when in reality, if you have a stacked team, it's hard to see who the actual true players are and who's not.
Yeah. I mean, I read a thing this week. I forgot what website it was, but it was an article on Blake Bortles, and he thought he was going to Cleveland at 4. He said that's where he thought he was going to go.
And I'm surprised he got past Houston at 1, to be honest with you. Yes, I know he's a project and everything, but if you looked at, Walter Football, mock draft, they had him going to Houston at 1.
Yeah.
And as you stated, Houston did have 2 cards out. So one of them had to be Blake Bortles.
Yeah, they said one was Bortles and one was Clowney. Well, you got to think, the owner of the Texans, he went to South Carolina. He's a South Carolina grad. So, he was in his Clowney's athletic ability for his size, they had to take him.
Okay, well, let's go hypothetical real quick. Had Houston went Bortles, which isn't the case, but had Houston went Bortles, And then, let me lower this down a little. And
number 2 would have been.
And then number 2 would have sat there with Clowney. What have you traded up for Clowney at number 2?
No, I wouldn't have traded up because the Rams were going to go. The Rams probably would have traded back, or they would have took the offensive lineman they wanted, and then we would have had a chance to get Clowney or trade back. And I think if Clowney would have fell to 3, I think we would have traded because Atlanta wanted him badly, and I think we would have traded with Atlanta and got the house.
Yeah, but who was there to get the house with? I mean, that's
because if the Rams wouldn't have traded back and they would have took the offensive lineman that they wanted, and then we would have got Clowney, and then Clowney would have been there at 3, we would have traded with Atlanta because Atlanta wanted them. We would have just dropped back 3 spots and probably got a couple more picks.
And then would have we, drafted Lee? There's a lot of, we could play what ifs. But the point I was trying to say was, were you saying, the quarterback is a, more important piece of the puzzle than the Leo would be?
I already told you I wanted Johnny. That's who I wanted.
But in our offense, would that work? Who would he throw to?
I think he would work in our offense. I've seen Jed Fish's offense for 4 or 5 years now. I know it'll work in Jed Fish's offense. Jed Fish does a lot and shotgun a lot.
You're acting like you're the host of Cane Shades and everything.
I'm just telling you, I wanted Johnny. I wanted Johnny football. I think Jaguars we would be booming right now. We'd be on TV.
Yeah, but do you want instant rice or do you want a home cooked meal? And I think that's what Blake Bortles brings to the table.
But what if the hype wins?
Unless you're Michael Jordan, the hype ain't winning.
I'm telling you. Hey, Tebow won.
Yeah, but how did he do in the NFL?
He made it to the playoffs.
Some are arguing it could have been, the defense too. But then you could say, okay,
But if you look at they were 1-4 when he came in. Where
very
was the
true.
defense before that?
Very true. But did you watch his games? The first 3 quarters were boring.
I watched, and you're telling me, and he had the whole nation mesmerized. If you hated him or you loved him, you watched because you knew it was going to be drama at the end of the game. And man, I wish the Jaguars it came down to the 2 minutes every game. Then at least I know we have a chance to win instead of being down 14 or 21 points.
Yeah, but you have to be able to score. That's the whole thing. We have not been able to score. And when you got to be able to score is in the red zone, and that's where we've actually faltered.
And that's where Tebow is the best at. You can't stop him from running.
Yeah, but what did he do after the first year, though?
They got rid of him because they got Peyton Manning.
Yeah. Well, we went back and forth with this and everything. I'm sure we can come up with something other than the guy that nobody wants in Jacksonville.
Oh.
I
got something for you.
Now
Jimmy Graham is on. They say is on the trading block. They only want 1 first-round pick for him. That's next first-round pick is all you got to give up for him. Do you do it?
No.
What? You're talking? Our offense would be so dynamic with this guy. We probably would be a 9, 10, 11 win team.
But then you're saying, well, 1, you gave up on Mercedes Lewis, and 2, you don't believe in.
No, because Jed Fish likes to run a lot of 2 tight end sets. So what if you run 2 tight end sets? Mercedes Lewis how long is his deal left? A year or 2? They're not going to pay him a lot of money anyways. But you're getting the guy that can play receiver and tight end.
Yeah, but I personally like what I've seen of Harbor.
Yeah, but Harbor is no Jimmy Graham. We're talking about a 6'6", 6'7" guy that is a basketball player and doesn't drop anything.
But you'd give up your
Miami.
So potentially you'd give up.
Next year's first round pick. Jimmy Graham. Yes, I would.
but it depends on where you'd end up at that pick. I mean, if you'd end up, mid to late first round, yeah. If you'd end up in the beginning, and I'm not talking about pick 2, pick 3, but if you ended up like, pick 8, pick 12, somewhere around there, would you? I mean,
yeah, but that's the risk you're taking. That's like the Rams, Redskins. When they traded for RG3, they gave up a 2, and they got the 2 back this year. I mean, that's the risk you're taking. If you think he can improve your team that much, and you're not going to be in a top 10, top 5 spot, I say you make the trade.
I don't. Because I mean, you can't have both though. You can't. Because the league year is about the. It's just as far as money wise. I mean, Mercedes Lewis has not played up to what he's getting paid for,
and he's always hurt.
So there would be no ifs, ands, or buts.
Trade him. Get rid of him. I would rather have Jimmy Graham anyways, but you could also keep both of them. You could go 2 tight end sets.
But then, how much
on the field? You can run whenever you want, and you can pass.
But you have 2 rookie wide receivers. If you throw in a tight end there, and do a lot of 2 tight end sets, they're not going to get that many plays, and they've got to learn.
Yeah, you can also put Jimmy Graham in the slot. I mean, he played at New Orleans. He played everywhere: receiver, tight end, slot. Because if you put him against safety can't guard him. If you bring him in, you put him against the linebacker. The linebacker's not fast enough to guard him. So you got a mismatch.
But here's
put him outside with the corner. He's not big enough. All you got to do is throw it up.
But why are they trying to trade him?
Because they don't have the money to pay him. They're cap tight. He wants a deal, and only thing they can do is franchise tag him.
And if he's that good, why wouldn't they do that?
Because they don't have the cap space to give him a multi-year deal this year.
But why?
I think they're like, we had the most cap space in the NFL. That's what I'm saying.
And that's not what I'm debating. What I'm trying to figure out is why are they doing this?
Because they can't afford them.
I think there's got to be more of a backstory than they just can't afford them. Because why would they just?
They just paid that safety all that money. They want to tag him this year, but he doesn't want to be tagged. He's talking about holding out. So if he holds out, well, you're going to get nothing for him. And then next year he's a free agent.
Once again, I'm just wondering, as far as I'm understanding your point, but it doesn't make any sense why all they're offering is that number 1. That's it. That's the main issue I have with that.
I think they said it's a rule. If a team can come in and outbid them for his services, then the team only gives up a first-round pick for him. To the Saints.
Okay, so they'd have to, sign him.
The Alex Mack situation, but since they tagged him instead of doing whatever the Browns did, if we won the bid, we would get Jimmy Graham and we'd give them our next year's first-round pick.
But how much is Jimmy Graham asking for currently?
Probably a lot.
That's what I'm saying.
But we got the cap room. We got $28 million in cap space. So if we give him like we did Alex Mack, we give him this first 2 years front loaded, then it's over. They can't match it.
But is a tight end really as valuable as the main
our offense is right now, where how he can play 2 or 3 different positions, wide receiver, or he can play, and he's so versatile. I think he is, because we only have rookie wide receivers and shorts. We need that guy.
Once again, is he more valuable than Mack would have been?
Yeah, you gotta think. He just tried to get paid as a wide receiver. He just fought it. He lost. I mean, I think he played wide receiver 60% of the time or some crap in their offense last year.
Okay. So he's holding a vendetta right now.
Yeah.
But
When he went to arbitrator, if he would have won that and they put him as a wide receiver, he would have got $12 million or $8 million or whatever it was for getting tagged. But since they did it as tight end, he's only getting like $5.5 million.
okay, but then you have Mercedes Lewis, and what's he currently making? I think like $8 million.
Yeah, like 8, something like that.
All right, so you have $8 million, and then you pay what, Jimmy, like 12?
I don't know, $9-10 million for him.
All right, so there's you know, that wouldn't make much sense as far as a business decision unless you were.
Why? We got money to spend. It's not like we're broke. We got money. We're on the cap. We got the money. I mean, you got to think if they front load the first 2 years, you don't got to pay these rookies a big deal for another 3 or 4 years. So if you can get his money gone away in 2 or 3 years, Mercedes Lewis will be gone by then. You're going to have money opened up. What's going to hurt us is when all these young guys in 3 or 4 years, when they want to get paid, that's what's going to come and bite us in the butt in 2 years.
Well, no, because we're just going to draft new people and let them go. That's just how the NFL works now. I know it sounds silly, but, I mean, unless Lee ends up like the next Jimmy Smith, it's not going to happen.
How about Justin Blackman?
Well, hey, Justin Blackman got to play.
Maybe he'll give us a discount.
I don't think so. He's making nothing, so I don't think he's giving anybody a discount. And, you know, Blackman, that contract alone is going to be hard.
They're going to put, it's going to be a lot of stuff in there. If he messes up, he don't get no money.
Well, I'm sure he's going to be looking for, because he's going to test the market and be like, all right, well, you're not going to do it. I know some teams are going to do it. I don't care what my record has. When I've been on the field, I've been, phenomenal.
Yeah, phenomenal. And that's when a team like the 49ers or the Cowboys are going to come in. They're going to swoop in on them.
Yeah, exactly. And they're not going to, have all those different rules and everything in place, and they're just going to roll the die.
Well, that's why I say we need to get rid of Cecil Shorts and trade him to Cleveland.
But Cecil Shorts has been our most effective wide receiver. Why would we do that?
Because he's not a number one guy.
Well, he may not be the number one guy, but he's the closest thing we have. I mean, if Justin Blackman is not playing, then who else do you see that can overrun,
Well, my outlook of it is, let's go youth. Let's play the rookies. I mean, this because Cecil Shorts is trying to get a big contract. You want to talk about paying people. Matter of fact, when I was at the minicamp, he was doing his autographs, and some guy said, he said to him, what did he say to him? He said, "Oh, aren't you trying to get that Wes Welker deal?" And he said, "Wes Welker deal? He's only getting $6 million," he said. And I'm like, how much do you think you're worth? You're not better than Wes Welker. So how much money does this guy really want? $8-9 million a year? He's not worth that much.
But you're going to give it to a tight end.
Jimmy Graham is, but look at the stats. It's not even comparable.
But at the end of the day, he's still a tight end. But then again,
he also play. Like I told you, he played wide receiver 60% of the time in New Orleans offense.
No. I'm not saying that.
I'm saying Shorts has never had a 1,000-yard season in his career, and this guy wants more money than Wes Welker.
But Shorts never had a quarterback worth a darn to throw to him either.
I mean, I remember Wes Welker with the Dolphins his rookie year. He was balling. And then they traded him to New England. He blew up. But Shorts is not. He's not the answer. He reminds me of Austin from Dallas. That got to the Cleveland now. That's who he reminds me of because he's always a groin or always a hamstring. He's about the same size.
Or a concussion.
He reminds me of Miles Austin.
And I'm understanding what you're saying. What I'm saying though is you have nobody else there. I mean, if you were to grab Jimmy Graham, then that might be an option. But then another option might be, hey, let's let go of Lewis because he hasn't done anything in several years.
So how much money would you pay Cecil Shorts?
Not that
what
much.
Kind of deal?
Not that much.
$4 million a year? $5 million a year?
Yeah, I wouldn't do no 8. Well, it depends. I mean, he's had potential, but once again, he's had nobody to throw to him. So, I mean, can you really blame him for that?
So would you give him $8 million a year?
Based on what I've seen, no. But that might be the going price now. If the prices change,
the max money I would give him would be $6 million a year. Probably like maybe a 3 or 4 year deal for like maybe $24 million, something like that. That's a max I would give him. He's not worth no crazy amount of money, no 30, 40 million.
Well, there goes Shorts ever coming on the show.
That's why you got to trade him right now, because then the other team has to worry about paying him.
Well, that's very true. But I mean, if we're gonna go grab Graham, okay, then I'm getting rid of Lewis, and that's no disrespect to Lewis, but he has not done anything in quite a long time now.
He's always hurt.
He had that one great year, with David and whatnot, and then since then, forget about it. But then again, he hasn't had a quarterback to throw to him.
Yeah, I mean, but look, okay, so you want to blame the quarterback, but you put Blackman's stat up to Shorts' stat, and it's not even comparable.
But where was, Blackman drafted? Where was Shorts drafted?
Yeah, but you could do that same thing with Wes Welker.
Well, and we certainly can, and that's not the argument I'm making here. Is Blackman a better receiver? Yeah, hands down. But will he be on the field? Shorts, though he gets injured, when he's not injured, he can play.
I don't see him as a different. I think Marquise Lee could be better than him. I think Robinson could be better than him.
But we have to see them be better than him. You can't you can't get rid of your best wide receiver, whether he's a 1 or not, with no replacement. I mean, you got a lot of potential there, but potential may not equal nothing. So if Lee does not, pan out, and Robinson does not pan out, which I don't see why they wouldn't, but if they didn't, and you got rid of Shorts, then what do you have there? Okay, yeah, you got Jimmy Graham. Say if we, traded for him. You got Lewis.
My thinking is go with the youth. It's like baseball. It's like, because I'm a Marlins fan. It's like being a Marlins fan. You're going to be there for 2, 3, 4 years. You're going to see these guys that should be in the minors playing, but they're getting their shot in the majors. And maybe not this year, but the second or third year in the league, they're beasting because they got the reps in the games. So why take their reps away with a guy that we don't really need right now if we're not going to be in the playoff contention anyways?
Then why isn't Blake starting? Here we go. You want to go with the youth? Let's go fully with the youth.
Well, then screw it. Let's just play all the rookies.
There you go. Nothing but rookies. That will work out well.
We'll have number 1 pick next year.
We'll tell Clement, hey, would you like to, sit on the bench?
We're going to be fighting with the Titans for that last pick.
Hey, it might be Houston again. You never know.
I think it's going to be the Titans. They have no quarterback. They have nothing over there.
Yeah, that's absolutely crazy. All right, another thing I wanted to talk about. I'm loving, how the Jags are restructuring everything. There's rumors that they're gonna they're working something with the shipyards and everything, and they're really trying to make it state of the art. They I believe they have the scoreboard actually up now.
They got one of them. One of them is complete. I think the other one they said should be complete by like the 11th or 12th.
And it's huge. I've seen pictures of it. It is absolutely huge.
They're having a concert, I think, on the 25th, when they're going to show it for the first time. I'm gonna go to that. I'm gonna go check them out.
And I mean, that's great as far as seeing it live. But I've seen. From many, Jags fans, they have different, concept pictures and what they've seen. And from what I've seen, it is huge.
Huge. Crazy.
Well, I mean, it's bigger than the Dallas Cowboys scoreboard.
I know you saw the scoreboard. Texas doesn't do everything bigger or something it said.
Exactly. So the weird thing about the Cowboys scoreboard though, I always wondered if a punter is gonna ruin it. Is gonna kick it so high.
Yeah, I did too.
It's gonna bust the scoreboard.
See, I heard there's a lot of Georgia, Florida fans that are mad about this. The pools and stuff because they're big games every year.
Why would they? Why would they be mad? Are they not allowed access to it?
Seating. See, that's why our stadium. That's why that stadium was so big and why they
Correct.
had tarps on it, because our stadium was bigger just for that. It was made for that one game, but now they took seating away to build that swimming pool.
Well, that's true, but these college fans have to realize, hello, Jacksonville has a NFL team and it plays more games than you do.
Yeah, but you're talking about a Georgia-Florida rivalry that's been going on for a year, 100. No, I don't know how many years. Probably 100 years, maybe more. I don't know the exact history.
Corn doesn't run the Gators, and he doesn't run the Bulldogs. He really doesn't care. I mean, he runs the Jags. I mean, he's business-minded, and he has that right. If he wants pools back there, he can have pools. If he wants to cut half the seats, he can cut half the seats, and they can use fold-up chairs. It don't matter. It's his stadium.
It is true. If they don't do what he says, he can always move the team.
Exactly. They could always move the rivalry somewhere else if they had to.
I don't understand why they just don't play one game, 1 year at freaking Florida and 1 year at Georgia, like every other rivalry does.
Who knows? I mean, because it's tradition, though. It's absolutely tradition. That's the thing. I will say, though, those that aren't, football affiliated, when the monster trucks come out there, and I believe that they've, they have like, shows lined up too, in addition to, the country show. I know that they
got a soccer game because Con bought a soccer team.
Well, I also know that out in Jacksonville, I'm not sure if it was over, in Everbank or around that area. They did have a metal fest, or they're going to, or something of that sort.
Yeah, I know they had a country one about a week or two ago.
So, I mean, there's great things going on. I mean, there's great things going on for the city, and it's looking like it's cemented that Jacksonville is not going anywhere. Not going to L.A., not going to England, not going anywhere.
But fans outside of the Jaguar fans, because we get no attention, they really think that we're moving. And if you look at the numbers of it, it looks like the Rams will be the team to go back to L.A. because their contract in their stadium, I think, ends this year and next year. So they can go wherever they want.
Exactly.
I think Jacksonville's locked in for like 20 more years.
I mean, it's not an ironclad contract, but I mean, what are you going to do? Are you going to pay the movers to move the big scoreboard? I don't think so.
No, you're not, because he put money down for that. He helped the city out. I think he put down $60 million to do the upgrades, and the city paid the rest. Yeah,
and I mean, Jacksonville is also going to be the first stadium to have 100% Wi-Fi capabilities.
Yeah, and I also think he said he's bringing a company there. He built one of his companies. He's putting I don't know how to say it, like an office there where he's going to bring in jobs for the city of Jacksonville.
His Gates company.
Yeah, some company, a manufacturing plant or something.
Yeah, Gates is auto manufacturing plant.
So he's doing a lot in the city. Plus, he's bringing his soccer team there to play exhibition games. He's doing a lot. I mean, Jacksonville-Jaguars are going nowhere.
Exactly, and he's going to show people. The problem is, with Jacksonville, is this? It's not that it's a bad team. It's if you go on the highway, okay, and you go past Jacksonville, if you don't get off on an exit, you can't see Jacksonville. You can't see the great parts of, the city and everything. You can just see the bridge. You can see a glimpse of the stadium, but you can't see Jacksonville.
And then a lot of people got thrown off because we took the one game every, 4 years to play in Europe. But the reason he did that was to build the fan base, to build the European fan base to be a Jaguar fan.
Well, I mean, he did that smart because he bought a soccer team. He bought a soccer team out there.
Yeah, he bought a soccer team out there. Plus, if he gets them people being Jag fans instead of being Cowboy, the typical fan, 49er fan. But now, if we're coming out there every year to play one game, they're going to be our fans, and they might fly to Jacksonville and bring their money there.
And then the Jacksonville fans might fly out to, I believe, what is it, England?
Wembley Park Stadium,
Yeah, exactly. The watch his soccer team. That's smart business right there. That's absolutely smart business because that's a win-win.
It sucks because I wish we played Dallas Cowboys at home instead of in Europe because I would love to see us beat the Cowboys.
It has to happen though. As far as revenue. The Jags needed it, and it was a great idea to go overseas. I don't agree with, the whole, taking a home game away. But really, in the thick of things, they may not. Because the NFL is thinking...
Preseason game.
Why
would they think a preseason game over there?
Because it's not going to draw much of a crowd. It's not like the NFL was never out in Europe. They had the NFL Europe.
Yeah, they had that. Which was a minor league thing.
But regardless,
the NFL doesn't have a minor league system.
But regardless, they still were able to see the NFL. It wasn't like they weren't. This is not new to them per se. And that's why it would draw attention because it's a regular season game. Had it been a preseason game, nobody would care. I mean, honestly, yeah, you would have some fans, but it would not be the same. But what people are forgetting is the league is considering moving, the season up to 18 games. If they did that, then the Jags would, in fact, not lose a home game.
Yeah, well, I also saw the league is talking about making every single team play there a year. So they're going to play 8 games over in Europe, in London a year. So that means every team in the NFL will play over there.
And maybe Korn got wind of that. And because he got wind of that, he's like, all right, well, before everybody else got to go there, I want to be, stabilized out there.
We'll have a fan base.
Well, I mean, to be Korn has preached, since he's been in Jacksonville about being the hottest ticket. In order to be the hottest ticket, you have to, be the trendsetter. The ones that
have to win.
Well, yeah.
Do you remember the 90s and 80s? The New England was terrible. They had that one year in the 90s with Parcells. They went to Super Bowl and lost. But other than that, what was New England? Nothing.
And I'll agree there. I will totally agree there, though Bledsoe wasn't a bum. But here is the deal. Okay, like I said, he wanted to be the hottest ticket, and I understand you're like, wins. All right, well, Tampa went 10-6 and still had problems selling tickets.
Yeah, but if you look back in when did they get Warren Sapp and Derrick Brooks? When they had those guys and they were winning yearly and then had a Super Bowl contender, you couldn't get a ticket to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers those years.
And the reason for that is because they had excitement. That's what Jacksonville needs. They need excitement.
Late 90s, early 90s, late 90s. When we were really good, it was packed in that place.
It was packed because they were dying for a football team. Anybody that read the book, The History of Jacksonville Football, will know that they wanted the Colts or Clots, however you want to pronounce them. Yeah. They almost had the Cardinals. They almost had the Saints. I mean, it goes on and on. So Jacksonville, was dying to have a team. So it was only a matter of time that was going to happen. But what Korn is doing, I love. He's trying to make everything state-of-the-art, and he's trying to be the trendsetter and saying, okay, hey, you don't respect us now. Eventually, you're going to have no choice but to.
Yeah, and in another year or two, and I'm not going to say 2. And next season, not this season, we're going to win 7 to 10 games, like I said. But after this year, we are going to be on the playoff hunt every single year.
Yeah, as soon as we get rid of Chad Henne.
Yeah, when we make the playoffs this year, you're gonna be like, oh, Henne.
You know what? If we make the playoffs this year, and if Chad Henne wanted to come on the show, I would personally apologize to him live on the air and say I was a dumb.
I would tell him, do not accept that.
Do not accept that. Well, I still don't accept I love Brunell. Brunell is one of the major reasons why I became a Jags fan, honestly. But what he said about the Jags moving, I will never forgive. So I won't accept that. And I don't care if he's in the pride. I still won't accept it. I don't care if he used to own part of the franchise for Whataburger. I still won't accept it.
You won't forgive him for what he did for the Jags organization.
I respect what he did as far as the Jags organization. I don't respect the fact that he had a chance to bring up the Jags in national media and instead chose to go the route of, okay, well, this is cementing their opportunity to go, and end up overseas.
Man, I don't know. That was his opinion, though. You can't get mad at his opinion. I mean, was this during the Gene Smith era?
Well, I don't care what I don't care what era it was. No. This year.
I never saw that, but
it was either this year or last year. It was not during the Gene Smith era.
Who is the greatest Jaguar?
My opinion.
Your opinion.
That's a tough one. I was about to say Jimmy Smith, but that's just because when I was in high school I played wide receiver and everything. But it's hard because there were a lot of great players. You can go with Boselli, you can go with Lagerman, you can go with DD.
Gotta be Fred Taylor. It's got to be Fred Taylor.
Yeah, Fred Taylor, yes, but I don't know because I tend more towards wide receivers. But
Jimmy Smith, you can't argue with him. He's got over 12,000 receiving yards. He was unstoppable, so you can't go with him. No against him.
So I don't have anything against TaylorMade. I think he is the second greatest running back I've ever seen.
You're crazy.
Well,
better than Emmitt Smith.
Is he better than Barry Sanders? Come on now.
No way. Not even close.
But Emmitt Smith, I think he was overrated, honestly.
Was he better than Adrian Peterson for the Vikings?
Was Fred Taylor better than Adrian Peterson for the Vikings? Yes.
No. I don't see that.
Why? He scored to Miami 90 yards with no help.
But Peterson is just a freak of nature. He's something that no one's ever seen before. The guy had 2,000. If you have a 2,000-yard season, you're on another plan, another level.
So would you say that Adrian Peterson's better than Barry Sanders? I wouldn't.
No, I would not.
Like I said, he's the second best, running back that I've seen. I didn't really study.
Dickerson. You're old enough. You've seen Eric Dickerson. He was better than Eric Dickerson. Earl Campbell.
You can go on and on and on. You can say Emmitt Smith. You can say.
You know what? You got your Jag glasses on. That's what you got.
You could say Thurman Thomas. You can. You could go on and on about great freaking running backs. But Fred Taylor, what he did was amazing. There were so many times where he should have took loss that he took it to the house. His pure speed of, athletic ability and the way he excelled and the way he got out of things was a sight to see. However, at that time, right before that, you had Barry Sanders, so it didn't seem like that big of a deal, but it really was.
Man, I don't know if he was the second best I've ever seen.
Well, he's the second best that I've ever seen.
That's because you're being biased. You're doing Jaguars bias.
Hey, I'll put my teal shades on. I'm sorry. Would you say that Mojo was even in the same class as Fred Taylor?
No, he wasn't in the same class. He was a class below.
There you go. And the whole thing with Emmitt Smith was a dynamite running back. However, look at the team he had.
Oh, you can't bring that up. You can't say that.
What? Why can't
Brett
you?
Taylor was on a great team. They went 14-2, only lost to one team that year.
But that wasn't the only year he played.
But I'm saying, you're going by a great team. I mean, he had the Jimmy Smith. He had a great wide receiver. The tight end wasn't all that good, but man, you can't blame Emmett for being on a good team.
But what did he have during the Jack Del Rio days?
Defense.
He didn't have an offense, that's for sure. And he still made plays. You know, he's
Mojo hadn't led the league in rushing with Del Rio.
Yeah, well, whatever. I've got a chip on my shoulder against Mojo because Mojo, he signed a contract. He had a great year, signed a contract, demanded more money. He got more money and still held out.
And cried about it again.
And then talked junk, and now he's over in Oakland.
And I'm glad. And what's crazy, we just got a new owner at that time, and I was like, why the hell would you do this right now? And I'm glad. I was like, trade his ass. Get rid of him.
Yeah, he didn't respect the team. I feel he got, disrespected, but he has to realize that just because, you can get your yards. I mean, you have to look at, when he was, the majority of years that he was, the running back, the line was built for the run.
Yeah. But you also got to see that the league has changed from a running league to a passing league. So running back's value is down. I mean, look at the draft. How many go in the first round nowadays?
But you also have to think, okay, now in Taylor's day, it wasn't, the line wasn't just set up for the run because you had some dynamite, wide receivers. You had, Jimmy Smith. You had McCardell. You had Brady. I mean, so you had weapons out there. It wasn't like, you had nothing. And then, you just had, the running back. So it was built different, too. So in my eyes, once again, Freddie's in a world that Mojo, even if he got 2,000 yards rushing the rest of his career, he's still not going to touch it.
No, Mojo is not as good. I mean, he did hurt when he held out that year. I was pissed at him. I was like, trade him. And then last year, I was like, he would show signs of being still good, but then you would see the next game he would be freaking terrible, and I'd be like, it's time to let him go.
Well, I mean, fantasy-wise, I'd pick a Mojo. Not as my main back. Well, I mean,
if you pick him, I'm gonna whoop your ass in some fantasy football.
Why? Why would you say that? Because I mean, you have to.
I'll take Toby Gearhart. Toby Gearhart will out fantasy point him this year by at least 300 or 400 points.
If Mojo was back there by himself, I would say yes. With him not being back there by himself, and he's gonna
be hurt. He's gonna be hurt with his toe or his hamstring or something, probably his big toe again. He's going to be hurt.
All right, but if he's sitting back there and if he's healthy and you've got Mojo and you put him as the number 2 back, all right, and people aren't ready, Mojo's going to, get some points.
With the Raiders, I don't see it. He went to go retire at home.
I don't know. I wouldn't count
have a Gearhart that's younger, hungrier. Yeah, I would take that all day.
I wouldn't count the Raiders exactly out. I just wouldn't.
Matt Schaub? I would take Henne over Schaub.
I wouldn't. Are you crazy?
Did you see Schaub last year? He was terrible. If you go look at Henne's QBR and all that last 8 games, it was pretty impressive.
Okay, but outside of Johnson, who did Schaub have to throw to?
Hopkins. They got a good tight end. I mean,
who was he throwing to? Foster? Come on now.
Seattle beat, and this dummy throws a pick 6.
And Henny did some bonehead plays as well. So
Yeah, he did, but he won more of the games than Schaub did.
yeah, but Schaub's got an elite. I'm not. Well, I'll take that back. I'm not going to say that because he hasn't shown that yet. But he has a very, very, very talented wide receiver in Moore.
Is Moore better than Andre Johnson?
Is Moore? I don't know.
He's not even close to Andre Johnson's level.
Well, I can't say if he's better because he hasn't played out his career.
But I mean, just look at his physical traits. He's little. Moore's a little guy.
Yeah, but Moore was explosive. Back in Tennessee on the Vols.
Well, Andre Johnson was he's in the University of Miami Hall of Fame.
I understand, man. I understand. I'm just saying that's just my opinion. I'm not saying he's on the same wavelength as Johnson, but he's still young. So who knows? Blackman could
pretty good.
Blackman could end up. I didn't mean to cut you off, but Blackman could end up as good or better than Jimmy if he cleaned up his act. We don't know.
He's got the talent level to be better if he doesn't get in trouble.
Well, we don't know. All right, but this.
I mean, we've seen the guy have 200-yard games.
And that's not what I'm, debating. But can he keep his, head in the game? That's the whole
I don't
thing.
know if they pay me $100,000, I'll keep him out of trouble. I'll babysit him.
Yeah, but he blew $12 million just because he couldn't stay clean.
Yeah, like I said, they pay me $100,000. I'll babysit him.
Oh, there you go.
If he does, to be in the off season.
Well, there you go. Bo said for $100,000 he's going to babysit Justin Blackman.
$100,000, I will babysit him. I will keep him out of trouble. I will give him a drug test every day. I will drive him. He will not get a DUI if he drinks. I will take care of him.
Justin Blackman, if you're listening out there, which I highly doubt it, but if you ever listen to our show, that you're welcome to come on and cuss Bo out.
Don't worry, I'll keep you out of trouble and I'll make you a rich man.
This is funny. All right, well, this is Ctjags, and we're about out of time, along with
Bo.
And join us next week. I'm not sure of the time yet. It's going to be earlier, though. We're going to have a set time earlier, whether it's during the week or, one of them weekend days. All right, but anyway, thank you for listening to Teal Time, and have yourself a wonderful 4th of July, and you as well, Bo.
All right, you too.
All right, take care.